Yo, what's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Noah here, and today I'm going to talk about some of my favorite TV shows. So, there's a lot of good TV shows out there, but I'm going to start off with the top number one TV show I like the most Green Acres. It was made back in the 60s, and I feel like it still holds up today. I prefer some of the earlier seasons than the later seasons. I feel like the later seasons just lean into the wackiness too much, but the earlier stuff is pretty good actually. And two main characters, Oliver and Lisa Douglas, married couple, move out from the city into the farm life, buy a farm and start to grow crops and all that. And it's just they get into some really wacky adventures out there because they're city folk doing farming, and all the characters are kind of wacky, I guess you could say, except for Oliver. He's the only one that's actually sane in the whole show. Like everybody else has some weird quirk about them. Like the county agent, he always forgets what he's talking about. He'll start off talking and then he'll forget what he's talking about and then remember and then he'll lose track again. But he did start out. The funny thing is, when that character Hank Kimball is his name, when he first appeared on the show, he did start out that way. He could hold a conversation like you and me, but then after like a few episodes, they just decided, you know what? Let's make this guy the guy who talks funny, who loses track of what he's saying, and then remembers it, and then loses it again, and remembers it again. But actually, for the first like 10 or 12 episodes, everybody was pretty sane in that show. Nobody was over the top. But then after that, they just decided, you know what, everybody was over the top. Like Lisa, she became kind of like the dumb blonde stereotype. And before that, she was like actually able to do things. She was actually able to cook. But then after that, she just couldn't cook anymore. She could only make pancakes, and they tasted like rubber. So Oliver never wanted to eat any of them. So I prefer the first couple. I don't know. I prefer the first season, but I don't know if I like the first couple episodes over the wackiness. Because the first season they just had magic wackiness. It was fun to watch. It always brought a smile to my face. But first couple episodes just didn't have that wackiness. It was more down to earth and grounded. So yeah, that's my favorite show of all time. It's still held up after I've started keeping track of my favorite shows of all time. And I actually found out about it because there's a new show that came out on TV like a couple of years ago that was kind of like a remake of it, but with completely new characters, not Oliver and Lisa, just new characters. And I found out about the show that way. So, moving on now to some of my other shows. Well, I like the CW stuff, the Arrowverse in particular. That's some of my favorite superhero television. I feel like Arrow truly transcended the superhero television genre. I mean, like before Arrow, there was Smallville, which had like a 9 or 10 season run. But Arrow really just like showed people that you could do superhero stuff on television and create a shared television universe. There was Arrow, there was The Flash, the Supergirl, Black Lightning, Constantine, DC's Legends of Tomorrow. They had all these shows in it, in the Arrowverse. And new shows keep on coming, like Batwoman and a new show called Green Arrow and the Canaries. And then they have a Superman show in the works too, Superman and Lois. New shows keep on coming, and Arrowverse is what I believe truly started this superhero television craze. Like before it, nobody really cared. Smallville was good TV, but nobody was considering it superhero TV. People were just considering, hey, that's a good show, or hey, that's a bad show, depending on who they were. But Arrow truly, in my opinion, started this whole television thing. Maybe Marvel would not have done some of the things they've done, like the Netflix cinematic universe. They had gone with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and the rest of them. Maybe Marvel might not have done that if Arrow did pave the way. Arrow, let's talk about Arrow in specific now. That was just the Arrowverse as a broad thing and how it impacted other superhero shows. Arrow in specific, I like the first season probably the most. It's just down to earth, it's grounded. Oliver has his mission. He has nothing getting in the way of his mission. It's just Oliver and the mission. Season two was also pretty good, although I think the villain was kind of weak. Slade, he did appear into like the last 4 or 5 episodes of the season. I was like, he's the main villain. He's been pulling the strings of all the other villains, and you're just introducing him now. Come on. I would have wanted to see him from like episode one, stay on Star City. Maybe Oliver didn't have to know Slade was there, but I would have wanted to see him like there from the start. Season three is my least favorite season. I refuse to talk about season three. It's just they had one good scene in the whole season, in my opinion. I hated season three. Season four, the villain Damien Dark just not work for the show. He's too goofy. He's too wacky. He's just like a goofball, and he's a villain. And this is supposed to be like a serious show. But all the villains before have been super serious and like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna destroy the city. And Damien Dark's just kind of there goofing off, smiling, laughing, and he's still trying to threaten everybody, but saying, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you." And then he's the Darth Vader Force choke also. He's just too goofy of a villain for me to take serious. So season four is my second least favorite season. Season five, I feel like caught back what season one and two had. Adrian Chase is the main villain, aka Prometheus. Season five was actually pretty good. Season five had my first grand episode, I'll call it. Okay, so I should explain what a grand episode is. It's like when I'm watching TV, there are good episodes, there are great episodes, there are bad episodes, there are okay episodes. The grand episodes are just those golden Oscar level episodes. Emmy level episodes. That's what, and season five was the first episode I had. Spectre of the Gun. That's what the episode's called. Oliver didn't even go in his Green Arrow costume. I think that's like the first episode he did put on his super suit. He was just the mayor of Star City, and there was this gun crisis, and the episode's about gun control. It was the first episode of Arrow that I remember watching on TV where they put, because all episodes are not rated except for this episode. This episode had the TV 14. Some stuff in this episode may be disturbing. It was the first episode of Arrow that I remember having that on. But that was just like my favorite episode of Arrow up till I saw season 6 episode The Dragon. That episode I like even better than Spectre of the Gun, I think. Ricardo Diaz was the main villain of season 6, and season 6 has to be my second favorite season of Arrow. Just like hands down. Ricardo Diaz is probably he is my favorite villain of Arrow. He's a relatable kind of guy. He doesn't have any superpowers, well, until season 7 when he gets some. But season 7, I didn't really like that much, okay? I watched it, and I watched it again, and the second time I was like, hey, I actually like it more this time. Maybe it was because I was watching the episodes, like, one right after another. I didn't have to wait a week or a month or a break to watch them. Because I was watching them on TV, I had the DVD. Season 7, yeah, I was just like, villain, kind of weak. And it's like, I didn't even know who the main villain of the season was until, like, halfway through. And I think that's kind of a bad thing when you don't know that right away. Season 8 was the final season. I felt like it spent too much time trying to be fan service, trying to say, hey, look at all these other 7 seasons we have. Let's pay homage to them. Like, I think it's great that one episode of season 8 is only 10. 7 episodes are dedicated to the 7 previous seasons. Like, you'll have one episode Oliver went to Russia, and that's supposed to be a dedication to season 5, because season 5 has the Russia stuff in it. But season 8 just felt too much like fan service. When Crisis on Infinite Earths came, I was like, yeah, they could have done better. So season 8's down there, but it's not like totally unwatchable. It's more watchable for me since it's so short, 10 episodes. I would have preferred, if you're getting Arrow a final season, I would have preferred it to be a full-length season, 22 or 23 episodes. But they did what they did. Another thing I don't like about season 7 is it's the first season not to have 23 episodes. It had 22 episodes. I was like, really, guys? You couldn't find it in the budget just to put one more episode in there? Keep the tradition alive for the 7 seasons until season 8, which sort of ruined the tradition anyway. But yeah, Arrow totally paved the way for comic book shows. It had some great villains throughout it, like Ricardo Diaz and Malcolm Merlin and Slade Wilson. Like Slade Wilson scenes in season 6, those scenes were so good. I had to watch them again and again because, oh my god, Deathstroke. He was like the Terminator in those scenes in season 6. He was just like killing people left and right. That's what Deathstroke should be, because in DC Comics he is known as the human Terminator. Okay, onto The Flash. Another show I like really well. But late season 6 of The Flash is going downhill fast for me. Season 4 is kind of unwatchable, and season 3 is kind of like, why did you do this? Season 1 is my all-time probably favorite season. I really love season 5. Season 2 is like, nah, I'll watch it and I won't watch it. Season 2 is just like the okay one of the bunch. But I don't know. For a time, I kept saying Flash was like my favorite show of all time. But now that I've actually kind of watched the show again, I was like, there's not really that much character development throughout the 6 seasons. And like sometimes characters just disappear for like 10 episodes and an end just to reappear randomly without any explanation. Like in this latest season, Ralph Digny, who is the actor, is credited as a star and cast member. And he's probably appeared in like 5 episodes of the season. And the reason is probably because his superpower is so expensive to do on live action television. And it's just like, well, why can't you just have the guy there and not have him use his powers? Like, in the last 9 episodes, he's only appeared in 1 episode. So I'm kind of disappointed about that. And they're trying to push these new characters onto the audience. I feel like these new characters keep popping up in this later half. And I'm like, oh, so are they trying to phase out Ralph with the audience and say, hey, these are the new characters you gotta like and love? So I'm kind of disappointed about that. But going in order of the season 1, yep, I really loved it. Had some great storylines. It was the first time that television actually did. Well, Arrow might have been superhero television perfected, in my opinion. But The Flash was superpowers on television perfected. It was the first time we actually really saw a 22 episode series that in every episode superpowers were being used. And I feel like in season 1 they just could do a whole lot with the superpowers, and every year after that the quality kind of diminished because of budgets. Season 2 of The Flash was with Zoom as the main villain, and I like season 2. It's very good. It holds up, not as well as season 1, of course. Season 3 of The Flash, however, had Savitar as the main villain. He's my favorite Flash villain of all time, Savitar is. But the plot of season 3 just wasn't there for me. Season 4 had the Thinker, and I didn't really like the villain. I didn't like the plot that much. And it was the first season that they kind of switched the cameras out too. I noticed that. It looked less, like sharp. The camera work looked less sharp. And then season 5 of The Flash, well, I think the villain was great. I think the story was great. But again, the camera work wasn't the best work. Season 5, I really love Cicada, and my favorite Flash villain of all time, Reverse Flash, had a major story arc in season 5, which I liked. He had a major story arcs in season 1. And now season 6 comes around, and the last 2 episodes of Reverse Flash returned, and I was like, yes! I love these episodes. And now he's gone. And I'm like, oh, now they're just going to go back into the old stuff they've been doing. Okay, away from the Arrowverse for some time, I like some other shows as well. Another one of my favorites is another DC show, but it's a web series called Doom Patrol. It's 15 episodes long. Every episode's about an hour or more. And Doom Patrol is just like rising as one of my favorite TV shows right now. I can't wait for season 2 to come out. I never knew how much I liked these characters. I don't know what about them, but I just like Doom Patrol. It just brings a smile to my face every time I pop on an episode of Doom Patrol and watch it. It's just like, yep. This is probably only like 2 episodes of Doom Patrol that I'm like, these episodes were as strong as the rest of the series. But being only 2 episodes out of 15, I'll take those. That's a good series overall. And I love the main villain, Mr. Nobody. He's probably one of my favorite villains of all time right now. I love the plot of Doom Patrol. And I love that they're able to stretch it out for 15 episodes, because Doom Patrol exists on the DC streaming service, and usually series have anywhere from 11 to 13 episode seasons. So I love that they're able to stretch it out to 15. I'm hoping that as Doom Patrol goes on for more seasons, they can stretch it out for even more episodes because it's just a great show. I feel like you could have gone 22 episodes. I would have loved every single one of them still. It's just that good of a show that I don't feel like the episodes would matter. If they had less episodes, I would have been like, that's a shame. 15 is a good amount for a first season, though. Okay. Another show on the DC streaming service is Titans. Titans, I thought I really liked it at first. And then some people told me Titans is garbage. And I'm like, well, no, it's not. That's just your opinion. You don't like Titans, and you have the right to have that opinion. You don't have to like it. But then I was like thinking about Titans some more, and I was thinking, okay, the plot's pretty. It's not weak, but it's not the greatest plot. And I'm hoping season 2 is gonna be really good, but everybody says season 2 is garbage, but they said that about season 1, so I can't take their opinion. I just cannot accept it because they just base their opinions off the dumbest of things. At least everybody I've talked to. If you honestly don't like Titans, don't tell other people it's garbage because it might be to you, but some other people might really hold it up to high standards. And it was the first of the DC streaming service shows. So it paved the way for Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing and Harley Quinn. So Titans is still pretty good out there when it comes to that. It's like Arrow kind of in a way. It paved the way for other shows. Although a lot of people think that Titans and Doom Patrol take place on the same Earth because they have the same cast shared between them. Like the cast of Doom Patrol appeared in the episode Titans, and they actually don't take place on the same Earth. They said that from the very beginning, that Doom Patrol does not share any continuity with Titans. And in the Arrowverse crossover, Crisis on Infinite Earths, they showed definitively Titans takes place on Earth 9 in the multiverse, and Doom Patrol takes place on Earth 21 in the multiverse. So they're not connected at all, other than the cast. But that's just like multiversal things. Like, if you have, like, the characters in Doom Patrol, like Chief, he's one of the characters on the show. His name's Chief. Niles Cauldron, real name. He's played by the same actor in Titans and Doom Patrol. And that's just like a thing in the multiverse. Like, if you travel through the multiverse, you're obviously going to see the same people appear again and again with the same face and the same accents and the same everything. Because that's just the law of the multiverse. Alright, let's step away from superhero shows for a little bit. One show that I found on Netflix that I actually honestly liked is A Series of Unfortunate Events. I didn't know what to think of the show after I finished the first episode. I was like, is this show trying to take itself seriously, or is this show trying to goof off a little bit? And it's just goof. It's not complete. It's a serious plot, but they make lighthearted humor every now and then. That kind of fine. Great. Like, sometimes there's a scene that just like, okay, that joke should not have been here. Like, this one scene where this one character is right about to be killed, the narrator of the show came on screen, and he's like, if you're not a fan of bloody violence, then maybe you should watch this upcoming scene. And it's just like, get off the screen. I want to see the guy get killed. I want to see if he actually dies. And it's just like, don't interrupt the mojo. And it kind of just interrupted the mojo in that moment. But I like the series of Unfortunate Events. Overall, it's one of my top 10 shows of all time. Neil Patrick Harris as Count Olaf, great choice. That character is great to watch in 25 episodes of the show. Series finale I loved. I wish it could have been longer. I want to know more though. That's the thing. The show left me wanting to know more. I want to know, how do the kids survive everything that happened to them? Because in the series finale, they just show that the kids, the main characters, get left off on this deserted island now. And then it skips like 15 years, and one of them's off the island in society again, in like a big city like New York. They don't specify which city, I think. And talking to the uncle, and I'm just like, how did they get there? And then they're telling the uncle, do you want to hear the story of what happened on the island? And he's like, yes, I'd love to. Because he's been following them for 15 years as well, and he lost track of them when they went to the island. He had no idea where they were for those 15 years. So he's like, yeah, of course, I'd love to know the story. He's also the narrator of the show. And the show just ends right there with her beginning. Well, some pirates came. And I was like, oh, I want to see that. And I was like, no, it just ends. No more seasons. No continuation that I know of. And I also love the music. Sometimes the characters would just break out into song for no reason. It wasn't a musical. It wasn't a musical. Let's get that straight. They only broke out into song like once every 4 episodes. And then by no definition is that a musical, but I like that. I like semi musicals like that. Does it have to be a full musical? But I like when the character just sings for no reason, just express themselves. The Mandalorian is also a new show that I found on Disney Plus. Everybody knows it by now. Like, who doesn't know about this? It's the first Star Wars show. I think it's live action ever. There might have been like the Ewoks one. I think there was. I don't know if that's animated or not. And there were some live action TV specials like that Christmas one that nobody talks about. But The Mandalorian was like everybody's considering it the first Star Wars show, and it delivered on season one. I was hooked. I watched the first 6 episodes right in a row. I skipped dinner to watch those episodes. And then I was like, I want to watch the last two. But I didn't have any data or Wi Fi left. And I was like, no, I have to wait till tomorrow now. And the ending, oh my god, that ending was great with the I'm forgetting what that saber is called. I'm forgetting what that lightsaber is called. But that was just the best cliffhanger they could have left it on. And the child, I have a poster of the child up in my room. That child just melted everybody's hearts who saw it. Like, everybody I talked to, hey, what's your favorite thing about the Mandalorian? The child. And it's like, of course, everybody loves that child. That child's adorable. The official name is just the child right now, I think, still. I don't think they've given him. It's a him, I think. I don't think they've specified a gender of the child, to be honest. I think everybody's just assuming it's a he. But they haven't given it an official name. Maybe it's season 2 of Mando start calling the child by some name. People like Steve or something like that. Speaking of Steve, another show I really like a lot is Stranger Things. A lot of people really like Stranger Things though, so I'm in the majority when I say that. And Steve is one of the main characters on Stranger Things for those that don't know. So that's why I said that. Speaking of Steve. Stranger Things, I like it because it's short. It's only 8 episodes. I can just binge it right in a row. But I also like the plot. The cast is great. The whole thing's great. A lot of people say it's kind of like Stephen King horror. And I think the first season maybe a little, but I don't think it's true horror. Stranger Things is by no definition a true horror. There's some elements of fear in there, but it just is, maybe I don't get scared easy because I don't consider it horror. Stephen King inspired, definitely. There's no doubt about that. Is it Stephen or Stephen King, by the way? But I never knew. It's like the main actor of Arrow, I always called him Stephen Amell, but I hear him and he calls himself Stephen Amell, so I'm like, well, I don't know. Okay, another show I like a lot is Life Sentence. This is a show that was cut too short, alright? It was a CW TV show, lasted for only 1 season, 13 episodes, cut way too short. I really loved it. I feel like it had great character development. Cast was great, storyline was great. But they just cut it after 1 season. I was like, oh man. I never watched it on CW. I actually watched it on Netflix. I knew about it from all the other shows I was watching on CW, and I wanted to watch it on CW, but something else is on at the time that I already had invested 4 seasons into. So I was gonna stop that show and watch Life Sentence. I knew Life Sentence was gonna be a short series anyway. The first time I saw it, I was like, hey, maybe that'll get a season 2, but I knew it was never going to. But it's just a great show about a cancer survivor. You should go check it out. It's still on Netflix. Another one, this is my second favorite show of all time, actually, after Green Acres, is The Orville, a Fox show that's now going on to Hulu and Fox still. But I'm pretty sure it's mostly going to Hulu. But The Orville, I thought it was great. Kind of like Star Trek, but I found that humor that Star Trek didn't have. It was still able to tackle those, like, not to say Star Trek didn't have its humorous moments. It did, between Spock and Bones and Kirk, their interactions, like especially Spock and Bones. That was Anytime those two are talking to each other, it usually ended with a laugh with from the audience. But this was more inappropriate adult humor. This wasn't child humor that the Orville had. Star Trek would have touched that. I know Quentin Tarantino once proposed an R-rated Star Trek film, but that hasn't really gone anywhere yet. And the Orville did it right away. Like there were episodes I was like, "Are you guys sure you wanted to put that on TV?" And there's like one week they'd have an episode like that. It's like, is that pushing the boundary for TV a little bit? And then the next week they had this really emotional episode that got you really emotionally invested, and it didn't focus on that raunchy humor, and instead focused on character development. And you're like, totally was the exact opposite of the episode previous. And it's just like, well, how do they do that? It's just the Orville is one of those shows that every time a new episode comes on, I don't know what to expect. And I feel like that's a great thing because when you expect something, you could lose interest in it or just get bored with it. Like if I'm watching a movie that I've seen so many times, I might just pull out my phone, look something up, or start talking to whoever I'm sitting next to because I've already seen it so many times. I know it's going to happen. But the Orville is just something new. I liked that. Another one of my favorite shows is Jessica Jones. It's my top Marvel TV show of all time. Live action, that is. Jessica Jones, season 1, is my favorite television season of all time. Period. Live action, I mean. Because if you count cartoon anime, then no, it's not. But live action, season 1 of Jessica Jones is my favorite. Loved the villain of season 1. Season 2 felt a little bit weak to me. There wasn't a main villain. It was just more like emotional, character development driven stuff. And I was like, hey, that's actually pretty great. But the rest of the cast kind of fell short because there wasn't anything for them to necessarily do in season 2. It was just about Jessica. And Jessica, the actress who plays her, was phenomenal in season 2. The rest of the cast is kind of just like standing there. Let everything happen to her. Nothing happened to them. Season 3, I felt like got back into the roots of season 1. A great main villain with a twist at the end I really liked. And then that cameo at the final episode. But both cameos in the final episode I loved. Luke Cage appeared after his TV show got canceled. And I was like, yeah, Luke Cage. And then Kilgrave, the main villain of season 1, had a voice cameo in the final moments of Jessica Jones season 3. And he's my favorite Marvel villain of all time, Kilgrave. Well, maybe after Thanos from the films. But that's part of the reason I liked season 1 so much, because they had such a great villain in Kilgrave. Like, the name is kind of fun to say, Kilgrave. It's 1 L, it's not 2 L's. And I think that's kind of cool about his name. And there's a joke in the TV show, Jessica's just like, what was Bloody Friday already taken? So you had to go Kilgrave. And just like, yeah, it's kind of a little bit on the nose. You're a supervillain. And the whole thing about Kilgrave was he wanted to stay under the radar, kind of like Adrian Toomes from Spider-Man Homecoming, who also wanted to stay under the radar of everybody. The feds, the Avengers, everybody. Kilgrave wanted to do the same thing. And he just had a name, Kilgrave. Like, nobody even knew what his real name was in the first, 10 episodes of Jessica Jones. Everybody just knew that was Kilgrave. You don't mess with him. And it's like, really? You want to stay under the radar? You don't use your real name, which is Kevin. You use Kilgrave instead. But other than that little thing about him, I loved his character. He had some great one-liners in the show. The actor was great. His cameo in season 2 was absolutely phenomenal. And his voice cameo in season 3, I just wish it was actually a full-on cameo. I wish he actually physically appeared as a hallucination to Jessica instead of just his voice echoing in her ear, because he got killed at the end of season 1. So the only times he appeared again was a hallucination to her in season 2 and a voice echoing in her ear in season 3. Alright. Well, I can't say if this show is high up on my list or low on the list because it's only 15 episodes into its first season right now, maybe a little bit less, but it's Batwoman. I've been watching it and I've been like, I can't decide. Do I really like this show or is this show just okay? I just can't decide. I feel like Alice, the main villain of season 1, is great. And whenever she's on screen, she just steals the moment. But Kate, Batwoman herself, kind of a little bit off at times. And like, when I watch a new episode, I usually just watch it. I just look at the TV and I just watch it. Like Flash, Arrow, DC's Legends of Tomorrow. I just watch those shows when they're on TV. Those are the only shows I watch on TV now, actually. Because there are no other good shows out that I like, personally. But Batwoman, I want to like Batwoman. I want to watch the episodes. But I just find myself distracted. I don't find myself distracted when I'm watching Flash or Legends. I find myself just sitting there watching TV. If a commercial break comes up, I might go check the phone or I might go get a drink of water. Otherwise, I'm just back waiting for the commercial break to end. But Batwoman, like even before the episode fully starts, I'm already on my phone looking stuff up or writing stuff down. I just can't get invested into it as much as I want to, and that's my problem. I just can't watch the show like I want to. But that's why I'm gonna buy season 1 on DVD. And I have this thing, regardless of DVD, I pay attention to it. And if I don't pay attention to it, I force myself to watch it all over again. Like I've done that before, even if it's something like director's commentary. If suddenly I'm an hour into the director's commentary on a film like Logan, this happened to me with Logan. I'm an hour in, I started going on my phone. I looked back up and Logan, the director's commentary is over. And that's a 2-hour commentary. So I'm like, oh, now I have to watch the whole thing over from the start. So I will not have the same problem watching Batwoman on DVD. So I'm going to buy season 1. Hope season 2 comes out. Hope that it gets renewed for season 2. Because I really like Alice, as I said. Usually when she's on screen, I put whatever I'm doing down. I pay attention. She can capture the imagination. But I hope it gets renewed for season 2. But looking at the ratings, I mean, like, even Life Sentence had better ratings than that, and that got canceled after 1 season. So, but I'm hoping that since it's a DC show and it's an Arrowverse show, it's part of the connected multiverse going on there at CW, that CW keeps it around for at least the 2nd season. I have a feeling they might keep it around for a 2nd season, cancel it then. I mean, Legends of Tomorrow has been failing ever since season 2, and they've got it all the way to season 5 now, ratings-wise. Arrow's ratings had dipped all the way down, too. And they kept it for 8 seasons. Alright. The last show that I'm going to talk about here is one called Gotham. Gotham had ran for 5 seasons. I would have preferred the final season to be a full season, like with the season of Arrow, but Gotham could only run for 5 seasons. And the final season had to be 13 episodes long. At least it's more than how many episodes we got of season 8 of Arrow, which is 10. That was originally supposed to be 8, actually. Or 9, I mean. But then they squeezed in a 10th episode. But I liked Gotham. I like the Batman mythos. I like James Gordon. I like Bruce Wayne. I like Jeremiah and Jerome Valeska. Who I say Jeremiah is the Joker. There's no doubting it. He is the Joker, alright? He might not have been called Joker. He might have just been called, like, Jay. But he is Joker. Like, they called, like, his lady friend called him Pudding. She called him Mr. J. And then at the end, the final episode, when he dons the white makeup, the green hair, and the purple jacket, he says, my name's no longer Jeremiah. I'm something new. And they start going through a lot of J names, like Jason, Jeffrey, Jonathan. And he's like, no. Just call me Jay for now. And it's like, yeah, you're going to become Joker, dude. We all know it. I just wish DC and Warner Bros. Would have allowed them to actually use the name Joker. Like, for the longest time, they didn't allow him to have green hair. And then the final episode, finally, they got that little whiff of green hair. Most of his hair had been burned off, so he's mostly bald. But he had like 2 or 3 strands, and it was green. And it was magnificent. His Joker is actually scary looking. His Joker, honestly, is scary to look at. Heath Ledger's is as well. But Jared Leto's is kind of more like silly-ish, like with all the tattoos. And Jack Nicholson, his Joker, does it look silly? Because Jeremiah did dress up as that in one episode of Gotham. He did dress up like the Jack Nicholson Joker, the purple top hat, purple jacket, the pale face. He looked exactly like him for one or two episodes. So I'm not gonna say he looked silly, Jack Nicholson. He didn't look he looked menacing. He looked like he was gonna kill you. He looked creepy. That's the way I describe his Joker. He was creepy looking. And then with Jeremiah Valeska, he just looked scary. His Joker looked scary. And for the longest time, a lot of Gotham fans thought that Jerome Valeska was Joker because he was the guy, smile, crazy, pale skin. His skin was almost like bleached white. But he had red hair. So did Jeremiah at first. They're twins, identical twins. So they both were played by the same actor. But Jerome died and then he was brought back from the dead, which I have issues with. I have issues that if he died, they should just let him die. I don't like that Gotham decided, you know what? Dr. Hugo Strange, who was a Batman villain in the comics, and sometimes an ally, but rarely an ally, figure out a way to bring people back from the dead. I had issues with that a little bit. I was like, come on, this is just so cheap out. And then Jeremiah died again. And that was the final time. Jerome died again, and then Jeremiah rose as the little clown prince of crime. But I had issues with a couple of things that happened in season 2. The major thing I had issues with, other than people coming back from the dead, is that superpowers started emerging in season 2. And I was like, oh, this show is supposed to take place before Batman hits the scene. Bruce Wayne's a kid. Season 1 was excellent that way. I feel like season 1 actually did what Gotham wanted to do. Season 2, 3, 4, and 5 kind of just went, I want Batman on the show, but since Bruce Wayne's still a little kid, we're just going to go ahead without him. And have James Gordon as the guy who takes down all the supervillains. And I was like, that's not Gotham. That's not Batman. Gordon doesn't do that. And Gordon did dress up as Batman at times in the comics, but it's rare. It's not often, and it doesn't last long. Bruce Wayne is Batman. Terry McGinnis is not Batman. Dick Grayson is not Batman. Jason Todd is not Batman. Tim Drake is not Batman. Bruce Wayne is Batman. And only Bruce Wayne. I have a feeling that might change in the future, but for right now, it is Bruce Wayne. Not anybody else who's used the Batman name. Not James Gordon, not Dick Grayson, and definitely not Terry McGinnis. It is Bruce Wayne. And that's what they kind of do in Gotham. Gordon never dressed up in the show as Batman, obviously, but he kind of just took down all the supervillains with a gun, a handheld gun, police-issued weapon. Kind of just like shot Mr. Freeze, his ice blasted, then boom, freezes down. Or just shot Scarecrow a couple times, and boom, Scarecrow's down. Send him to Arkham, wait till he breaks out again. It's kind of what the show kind of felt like. Kind of like, we wanted Batman. We wanted to do a Batman TV show. But they originally wanted to do a Batman origin TV show. The stuff that happened before. And I think you could have some of these villains, like Scarecrow. Like, they did have Scarecrow in season 1, and they did do it right. But I don't think they should have brought Scarecrow back. I think Scarecrow should have been a villain that just stayed off the show after season 1. He had 2 episodes. Did it great. He didn't have the fear toxin mastered, and he didn't have the costume. But I think they should have just waited for Bruce to become Batman to do all that. But one of the things that I like that they did right, though, is that one of Batman's first cases, like the first case Batman does in the comics, is take down the Joker. In the final episode of Gotham, Bruce finally did don the Batman costume, and the first thing he did was take down Jay. And so I was like, they did that right, at least. They did that right. Final episode was magnificent. But everything between season 1 and that final episode felt like kind of betrayed what the show was supposed to be. I'm not saying it was bad. It was great. I loved it. But I'm just saying they should have not have done it to that big of a scale. I don't think the show would have been a big hit without that stuff. Like, people would still watch it. People would still loved it. But it would have been as big of a hit. you can't deny that superpowers draw people in. Like, you could show a preview and Mr. Freeze is blowing his freeze gun and Firefly's blowing her fire torch and Scarecrow spreading his fear toxin. You guys show that kind of preview, and then you could hear Jerome's laughter in the background. People go like, Joker, yeah. He's like, yeah, people are gonna come and watch that, of course they're. But if you show a preview about James Gordon taking down the next corrupt cop in the police department, people might tune out on that a little bit more. People are still gonna watch it, but you're not gonna get as big of an audience as in you had the big three supervillains I just talked about. For four, actually. Now, they had a lot of villains on the show, from Solomon Grundy to Scarecrow to Firefly to Bane, even. They had Bane in the final season. And Ra's al Ghul, which I also think is wrong. Bruce is supposed to like go to Ra's to help train, not the other way around. And Ra's is supposed to not die when Bruce is a kid. He's supposed to live on and on. He's never supposed to die, actually. That's the thing about Ra's in the comics. Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul, however you want to say his name. He's not supposed to die in the main comics, like in the main Batman comics. He's always supposed to be there as an adversary. Because if you kill Ra's al Ghul, then what's Batman gonna do with the League of Shadows? Like, there'll be times that he's not the leader of the League of Shadows or League of Assassins, however you want to call them. There'll be times that Ra's isn't. There'll be times that Ra's is maybe badly wounded and out of commission for a long time, but eventually he's gonna come back. And the whole thing about Gotham is they killed him in season 3, and then he came in season 4. They killed him, and then he came back to life, and then they killed him again. I think. Did he come back to life? I don't remember. It's too hard. Everybody comes back to life in Gotham. Everybody comes back in Gotham. I think, yeah, Ra's did come back to life. I remember now. He died. Bruce killed him as a kid. Bruce killed an old guy. And then he was brought back to life. And then Bruce and Barbara killed him again. But this time Bruce killed him with Barbara. Because there was a prophecy that whoever kills Ra's al Ghul becomes the new leader of the League of Assassins. So Barbara's like, I want to be the leader. And Bruce is like, I don't want to be the leader. So he's like, here, I have to kill him since I killed him the first time. He's brought by magic, and the magic rules say that the person who killed him the first time is the only one who could kill him the second time. So how about we both kill him at the same time? You grab this end, you grab the handle of the sword, I'll grab the handle of the sword, and we'll both stab him in his chest at the same time. Barbara's like, works for me. So they did it. But it was technically Bruce that killed him, because even though Barbara was holding onto the sword, her doing that did nothing to hurt Ra's. It's just Bruce, since the magic rules that were applying there. But yeah, I've talked way too much about Gotham, probably. But I liked it. To all the negative I said about Gotham, I really, really do like it. Love Penguin. Anytime Penguin's on screen, totally loved it. Riddler, Edward Nygma, I loved his character as well. That guy was great. And Carmine Falcone, I liked him. I didn't like that they killed him, but it was a necessary thing to do. But they did leave some things open. I don't know if that's on purpose or accident. I feel like it's an accident, because there's no way they're ever revisiting that universe. And I like James Gordon. I like the villains too. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they should have been there, but since they are there, I'm grateful that they are there. Like, Scarecrow's costume is killer. He looked scary. Scarecrow's costume looked scary. And they had some great moments. Like, oh my god, one of my favorite moments is Scarecrow and the Mad Hatter trying to attack Jim and Jim's police partner, Harvey Bullock. And Bullock just pulls out his gun and is like, not today. And then he starts charging at them, and Mad Hatter and Scarecrow just turn around and start running. They're like, oh no. I'm like, dudes, you guys have superpowers. He has a gun. What are you going to do? And they just turn away because Harvey looks so mad right there. He looks like an unstoppable train. He's just charging. Like, I've had enough of this today. I ain't doing this stuff today. It was great. That was a funny moment. And I feel like that moment wouldn't have worked if Mad Hatter and Scarecrow weren't those guys. If they were just Jonathan Crane and Jarvis Tetch, it wouldn't have worked, because then those would have been just two guys. It would not have been funny. They would have not stood a chance against the police officer. But made it funny was that they did stand a chance. They were stronger than him, and they still ran away because he scared them in the moment. That's what made it funny, alright? Alright. Again, I talked too much about Gotham. I really like it. For all its bad sides, I really like everything has a bad side. Even my number one TV show of all time, Green Acres, has a bad side. Everything has a bad side. There's nothing you're gonna find that doesn't have a good and a bad to it. I've just decided to talk a lot about the bad about Gotham, and then I threw in some good moments in there too, just so everybody knows that I actually do like Gotham. But I'm willing to criticize it. But talked a lot about Gotham. Talked a lot about other shows I love. Most of them were superhero shows. There's some that weren't superhero shows. Most of them were. I'm a superhero fan. But just talked a lot, and it's great. So I'm done now.